All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to an episode of the Coffee Q&A, your daily dose of Coffee Q&A here on the Coffee channel. I'm Jay, your host. And like most lately, we've been doing live streams, 10 a.m. Eastern time, most Monday through Fridays. So if you're just doing it for the very first time, welcome. How's it going? Q&A's with us. Hello to you, man. How are you doing? So today we got a little bit of a fun episode, I think, and this is a little bit of fun for me as well as a bit of nostalgia. So how's everything going? Hope everything is going well. What else did I tell you today? Kent, how are you? So as you can see, I've got my new outfit on. Actually, my outfit is not that new. It is, look at that. I put jeans on, right? Look at that. You can see my jeans. A lot of times I'm just sitting here with nothing below the shirt. That's why you never see me step away too far from the countertop. That's the beauty of television. You can be half naked and nobody's gonna know. So that's the secrets of YouTube. But anyway, I'm wearing this shirt today because of today's episode, and today we'll be talking about one of my favorite cereals, Blueberry. And I found this box of Blueberry, and not that it's out of print or anything, but I found a box of it while I was up in New England. I was walking around the grocery store. I said, "Oh, Blueberry! Gosh, I haven't had that in years." So I used to eat this, and so my favorite ones were Blueberry, Fruity Pebbles, and Honeycomb. Those are the ones that I really gravitated towards when I was a child, and I just love the whole Blueberry thing. And Blueberry is part of something called the Monster series made by General Mills, and that includes Count Chocula as well as Frankenberry. And so, of course, Count Chocula is a chocolate-based. Frankenberry is a strawberry-based, and then there was one called Fruit Brute. I think the cereal was called Fruit Brute, and he was kind of like this wolf man, kind of looking a friendly wolf man, not a terrifying wolf man, right? And I think that was more to go against Fruit Loops or Fruity Pebbles, right? Because Fruity Pebbles is post. Fruit Loops, I think, is Kellogg's, and this is General Mills. And yeah, so many years later, after I was no longer just a child, I became a teenager, and I fell into this world of like fashion, art, music, club, and with liberal doses of pretentiousness, like incredible doses of pretentiousness to whole new levels, right? Pretentiousness as only the 1980s could produce in that era of like brass consumerism and just, capitalistic greed can only produce. And so I used to go to the clubs. So I started going to the clubs in high school, right? So here's the interesting thing about me is that a lot of people that I know will go to, they turn 18, they turn 21, they start going to the clubs, especially when they're 21, they can go out and drink and they do all these things. And I was like, okay, that's cool. By the time that I was 21, I was kind of done with clubbing because I had been clubbing by that point for like 4 or 5 years. And I was like, and I don't mean we went to the club once in a while. Like we went to the club all the time. Like when I got to the point of being able to drive, it just became even worse because we would go to a club Friday night. So we would go to, there used to be a place called Signal, Cignel here in Baltimore. And it was an after-hours alternative music nightclub that happened on Friday nights. Now, this club was kind of interesting because on Thursday night, there was what they call Pump Night. And Pump Night was like when all the yo boys came in and they played like rap music and all this like, music geared for the African-American group, right? Whole different crowd. And then Friday night was this alternative crowd. So again, completely different crowd. Saturday night was hardcore gay. And then but Saturday nights we would actually, when we really got into it, so one of my really close friends, Chad, he went to Parsons School of Design in New York City. I went to the Maryland Institute College of Art. After I got out of high school, I went to MICA for a year. And, you're young and you're like, you think you know everything. So you think you own the world and you like have all this, you have all the beauty, right? And so we ended up eventually going to Signal on Friday. Then this would not be uncommon. We would go to New York City Saturday. And I mean, when I say Friday, we would go Friday clubbing. Like we wouldn't start at the club until like 11:30 or midnight. And then we would stay there until 5 in the morning. go home, crash, sleep for a few hours, get up, and then drive to New York City, where we would go to the clubs in New York City. So we would hit a place called, there was a club there called Boy Bar, Nell's Basement, Tunnel. So we went to all those clubs, and my aunt was beautiful. Like, my aunt lived in Long Island, so she was like, "There's a key outside on the table. You just use it anytime." I was like, "Oh, this is brilliant." So we would drive club all night in Manhattan, drive all the way out to Manhasset in Long Island, which is like exit 36 on the LIX, which, now that I think about it, is kind of a drive. So we'd go there like at 3, 4, 5 in the morning, arrive at our house, crash out, and then drive back Sunday to go to DC. There's a club back then called Trax, and they would have another club night on Sunday night, and then that would be our weekend. It was really kind of a crazy, great time. So by the time that I moved to Honolulu when I was 19, and then I turned 21, my friends were all like, "Let's go to the club." I was like, I don't know if I want to go to the club anymore. It's like, I have been to the pinnacle. I have been to like the pinnacle of like club life. I don't know if I need to go any more clubbing anymore. Coffee comes with us. Good morning. Andrew's here. Power Plant, good morning as well. So as you can see, so why am I wearing this outfit, right? So this outfit, because this is the outfit that I was wearing back in my club days. Like I would wear this. And how this evolved was, I would like to tell you that I'm some kind of like super original auteur, but I wasn't. Like, I pretended to be, and I certainly like exuded that moxie back then. But really, I got this because back in 1985, I was sitting around in my stupor of geekdom, listening to Duran Duran, and John Taylor and Andy Taylor decided to leave Duran Duran and do a side project with Robert Plant called The Power Station. And there it is in Some Like It Hot. I think that was their first video. There's Robert Plant wearing this shirt, and he was like, "Feel the heat pushing you to the," and I was like, "That's dope. I need to do that." So, but I grew up Catholic, right? And I went to a Catholic high school. So I was like, well, I could wear the shirt, but does that mean I'm going to burn in hell? Because I don't know if that sounds like a great trade-off, right? A fashion statement just to burn in hell doesn't sound like a good deal to me. So I was like, I went to some of the priests and I was like, "Hey, what's the deal on like your shirt?" I don't know if I said it exactly that way, but I know the priest I went to is a really good guy. And I was like, he's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, like if I wore the shirt, is that damnation? Like, is that something wrong?" And he's like, "Well, as long as you're not pretending to be a priest, no." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, you should be fine." I was like, "That's awesome." And so, back then, so, nowadays, if you want to find something, you just go online and you Google it. And there was no Google back then. This is 1986 or 1987. There's no Google. You can't find, how do you find anything? I don't even know how I found this shirt. But back then, there was a company called RJ Toomey, Toomey. They still exist today, as far as I know. Well, they existed 10 years ago, at least. But I still think they exist today. Now, you might not know this, but Baltimore, Maryland, where I live, is the oldest archdiocese of Catholicism in the United States. This is where Catholicism started in the United States. So this is like ground zero for Catholics in America. So everything is based here. So RJ Toomey was a company that provided all of the accoutrements and fashion for the clergy. And they had an office right downtown, right close to where I used to buy like records on Saratoga Street in Baltimore City. And I was like, "What?" So I went there. Somehow I found out about that. Maybe I asked the priest where he bought his stuff from. And they had everything, right? You go there, they had the shirts, they had jackets, they had the Cossacks. I was like, I need a Cossack. That would be kind of amazing. And then later I would see Neo in The Matrix wearing a Cossack. I was like, I should have done it when I had the chance. But they had everything. And if you want to buy chalices, for giving communion, whatever you want to do, they have the robes and everything you need. RJ Toomey has it all. And so the reason I'm saying that, because they used to be based in Baltimore, and then 10 years ago, and And I used to have a bunch. I bought like a whole bunch, right? Like I had like one that was blue. I had one that was purple because the Episcopalians, they like to wear colors. Catholics, we don't do that. We just do black. Right? It's like, what are you doing, man? Why are you wearing something else? But Episcopalians, they're kind of like free-loving, like Christ people. So they kind of go with other colors. So I had a blue one, I had a purple one, and it was really a good time. And I'm trying to think. I just remembered that I had a picture with some friends. And I don't know where it is. I just thought about it now. But I had a bunch of friends in high school and that weren't part of the club scene. And they all wanted to go to this club one day that I go to. So I brought them with me and I put them in all of the different like clergy shirts that I had. And it's kind of a crazy, dumb picture. But so fast forward or rewind now to 10 years ago, to 2015. This club that we went to called Signal closed down many, many years ago. And some of our friends ran a different club in Baltimore City that used to go there. And I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy named DJ Feelgood, but he's a fairly large, like, rave DJ for many, many years. Well, Charles was an old friend of ours. His real name was Charles Fields. And so we would hang out together and he dated one of my good friends. And like, it was all... So it's kind of, but they decided they were going to have a reunion, a Signal reunion 10 years ago, May of 2015. And I was like, I gotta go. So I went and I was like, I gotta get me another shirt. So I found out RJ Toomey is now in Missouri or was then in Missouri. They had moved for whatever reason. Maybe I think they got bought by a bigger company, the whole like conglomerates, now I guess there's a whole priesthood conglomerate that's owning all the priest gear in America, priestgear.com. No, I don't know if that's true, but I called them. They have a website. So I went to the website, ordered a shirt, and I got to tell you what, look at this. Okay, see this shirt? This is how much my life has changed in the last couple of years. See this? Right, there's some space here. When I wore this shirt in 2015, I didn't get a shirt that was big enough. Like it was tight. I was like, shoot. So it's kind of weird. Actually, it's too big. It's actually very billowy. I have it all like pinned in the back, trying to. But anyway, that's all just tangential talking here. So the whole thing is that why this all correlates is because during that time, since I was so into Booberry, we used to actually do club events. So my friends and I got together. Chad Marshall, Scott Osmond, and I would put together club events at different venues around the city. And one of those that we were going to do, which was going to be the biggest one we'd ever done, was something called the Lovers of Booism Unite. And it was centered around the Booberry theme. So the whole idea was that we were going to have, the DJs come in, lighting come in, and we're going to set up a club and, have doormen, have all these people come in, all there. And and the thing is that it would be Booberry themed. So we had all these like Booberry cutouts to hang from the wall with blue lighting. And like, I got cases, and I mean like cases of Booberry. I was able to order from like a wholesaler, grocery supply company. And we got gallons of milk, and we're having this great club, and then the venue canceled us on the last minute. But the idea was that we were going to have this Booberry thing. So the idea is that you come to the club, right, and you get the Booberries, you get this, you pay your cover fee, which is only $5, and then you get to eat the cereal and club, and it's the 1980s, and there's always at a club, even though there's kids and it's underage, there's always alcohol involved. Like that's the thing about the kids today. They don't, alcohol's not a big thing for them. But here's one of the flyers. I found one. I have one hanging up on the wall. There's one of the original flyers. Lovers of Booism Unite. Saturday, April 16th, 1988. $5 cover fee. And here's the thing. So like my friend Chad, who did the artwork, this is all hand-drawn. Like back then, we didn't have computers. We didn't have Photoshop. Photoshop, I don't even think existed at the time. So so if you were a graphic designer, you had to do it by hand. And Chad was really excellent. I was not very good at as a graphic designer in that respect, but he was very good at like doing hand-drawn stuff. And that was our That was our flyer, right? So we have that flyer, and then this was the other flyer for it. And in case you might be wondering, that is my childhood portrait. So anyway, that's where all of this, that's kind of the genesis of all of this. So I thought that we would like go through this. Plus, also there's some great things you can do with cereals that's fun with coffee, right? So first of all, let's go into this. So Blueberry is a blueberry cereal that is, quite, I don't know if it's still popular today. Maybe it's still popular. Let's open it up here. Now, okay, so one more thing. This, as you can see, there's a difference, right? This is the kind of, our artwork here is based on the original or the 1980s era Boo. You can see this one is a newer 2025 iteration. This particular one, evidently, is they've worked with Jim Henson's factory to create Muppets of all the characters. They're very cute. They're very cute. And if you go to General Mills' YouTube channel, I think I have a link in the description. You can see the videos that they made. They're kind of fun. They're fun. Count Chocula and Frankenberry are still being scared by the Boo. All right, let's open up and see what we got inside here. Okay, there we go. So if you're not familiar with this Blueberry cereal, it's getting closer. It's getting closer for this. Blueberry cereal is basically puffed corn. I'm pretty sure it's puffed corn. Is it right? Puffed corn? Yeah, corn. Glaseado, artificial berry frosted cereal flavor. Yeah, whole grain corn, cornmeal, corn. So corn, most American cereals are corn based because that's our crop. So corn flavored blueberry corn that's flavored like blueberries with marshmallows, and marshmallows come in the shapes of different little ghosts. So it's terribly fun. Like, it's just a fun cereal. I enjoyed cereals when I was young. Paraplant says, my parents never allowed me to eat sugar cereals. I was the quintessential, like, American kid. Like, we just ate terrible, terrible stuff. My parents worked, so we were like I can't say we were latchkey kids, but we certainly were left to our own devices for many, many years. Like, if I think about the things that my brother and I did, and my friends and I did when we were young in our neighborhood, it's like, I don't think parents would allow that today. Like, maybe the parents don't allow that today because we were the kids. We are those, us as kids then are the parents now. So maybe that's why it doesn't happen. But like, we're riding our bikes to, New York. So we're going off to York, Pennsylvania. Mom, where'd you go to? They said, we went to York, Pennsylvania. Okay, that's good. Great Outdoor Reviews. How's it going, man? The recent Blueberry co-ferment from Brandywine Roasters was I didn't even know that they did that. Oh, I will have to look that up. Do you happen to know if they still have some? Power Plant says we ate a lot of oatmeal. Good Lord, man. Why? What we did get was grape nuts or shredded wheat. Good Lord, that's terrible. That's terrible. I hated all of those. I hated them. Like, they were disgusting. I'm eating this. I'm eating Fruity Pebbles. I'm eating Honeycomb, Super Sugar Crisp, Sugar Smacks. What was it? Captain Crunch. What was the peanut butter flavored one? There was a peanut butter flavored one. But oh my gosh, you eat the shredded wheat and it'd be all like, why is it soft? And why is it all falling apart? What the heck is going on here? And then the grape nuts were just crunchy, like nastiness. I was like, God. I didn't start to enjoy grape nuts until I was much older, like maybe 20 years ago. Until then, I was like, oh. And then I had it in a cereal that that place called Scoops in Los Angeles used to make, or they probably still make it. It's really excellent cereal. Something called brown bread ice cream. Malted syrup, malted ice cream with grape nuts mixed in. Oh, gosh, so good. So good. My parents both worked 50 hours a week, but they were They were hippies who had kids later in life. Ah, gotcha. Same for me, says Keck, oatmeal with 1 spoon of jam. But but there's a difference, I think, with you and Power Plant Kent, is that you grew up in Norway. I don't know what Norway's like. Like, I don't know if you guys, like, I don't think the rest of the world had the crass consumerism that we have in the United States with this whole, like, exploitation of meals and, like, obesity and all the issues we have in the United States. So everything here is geared towards sugar, and, like, making people fat and terrible. And our whole industry is about, trying to find ways that instead of eating 2 or 3 meals a day, how do we make those 2 or 3 meals into 7 meals so we can sell more food, make more profit? So I don't know, not to discredit what you did. Like, that's a noble pursuit, and sounds like misery, but that's funny. PowerPoint says muesli is good stuff as well. Not when you're 7. Russell's with us. Good morning to you, Russell. Russell, I was just thinking, you and Kyoto yesterday, 2 days ago, I was driving around in a place called Columbia, Maryland. I'm actually looking for pallets. Right? I'm hunting for pallets, and I see this sign. L&L Drive, L&L Hawaiian Barbecue. I was like, oh, L&L, what? So I turned around, pull in. Turns out this L&L Hawaiian Barbecue. If you guys aren't familiar, in Hawaii, there's a place called L&L. It's kind of like one of the classic plate lunch joints. And typically, like, lunch places are called drive-ins because we used to drive into them many years ago. And this guy, Kwok, started a place called L&L and grew it into, like, this juggernaut of a chain, Hawaii chains, right, for plate lunches. And plate lunches are basically 2 scoops of rice, a scoop of macaroni salad, and some kind of protein. So either chicken teriyaki, you can get pork adobo, you can get all these kind of stuff. I personally always liked katsu curry. I mean, chicken katsu, not tonkatsu. Tonkatsu is good, but it's not contextually what I like. And then they eventually started doing curry katsu, which is still my favorite. What can you not like? Rice, macaroni salad, fried chicken. Good God, like, it's terrible. This is why Hawaiian people are fat, right? People in Hawaii are all fat because they eat these massive plates. Anyway, so that's what this is. So when L&L decided many years ago to come to the mainland out of Hawaii, they decided that L&L Drive-In wouldn't make any sense. So they called it L&L Hawaiian Barbecue, which doesn't make sense to me. But they opened that. And so this woman's in there. And I was like, oh, hey, what are you guys opening? And she's like, we start talking. It turns out she's the franchisee for the region. Name is Jenny. Very nice person. We got them talking. I was like, oh, very cool. So they're not going to open until January. So soon I will have more plate lunch. Coffee Coke says Captain Crunch Original is a peanut butter flavor. Then they came with the berry. No, not the berry. No. There was another one that was peanut butter. I think it had like ball shaped. But yes, you're right. Captain Crunch is peanut butter. I was not a fan of the berry Captain Crunch. Like, it's okay. I like original Captain Crunch. To their credit, says Power Plant, I am still the same exact size I was in high school. I am not the same size I was in high school. But I get it. Andrew says we always had cream of wheat. Oh my God. But you're a little bit older than I am, so I get it. You're of a smarter generation, I think. Anyway, so that's what's going on, Naomi. How are you? Russell says there are 4 L&Ls within 5 miles of me. Wow. I have to. There's a plate lunch joint that opened a couple years ago. That's pretty good, but it's like a 40-minute drive from me. That's the closest one, which is probably good because I don't need to have katsu curry on a regular basis. Like, I have to make an effort to go there. Russell says katsu curry. You were speaking about yeah. Remember, I don't know if you remember. Like, there was a place in Honolulu right on Kona Street, Kona and not Ala. What's there? There's that street that runs along the Sears by Ala Moana at Ala Moana, right? There used to be a place called I Love Country Kitchen. I Love Country Cafe. We used to go there. And here's for those of you who like, like healthy foods, like I Love Country Cafe. They were one of the early progenitors of the chicken katsu curry. So basically, it's like chicken cutlets, basically like chicken. Like if you do it right, if you're really good, you're gonna make it out of thigh meat. You're gonna pound it out, season it, batter it, fry it, katsu it, and then serve it, right? And then they had the curry, which is great. But my friends back then, my cigar friends, they were like, well, we should be a little more healthy, man. We should be a little more healthy. So let's get it at Love Country Cafe, and they'll make it with 2 scoops of brown rice. And at first I was like, brown rice? What? Are you crazy? What kind of wrong? You guys are out of your mind. But it's actually pretty good. They did a nice job with it. And instead of mac salad, they would give you like a green leaf salad. So that would be our concession to like health. Power Plant says, yes, Russell and L&L's all, you know who I do like, and it's not L, I like L&L's okay. Now, now that L&L's is huge, like I used to go to L&L Honolulu a lot, but when I'm in Southern California, Los Angeles, there's another company that does Hawaiian barbecue that I actually like. I think I like them better. Like I like to go to this place. There's a place, my brother used to live in Hermosa Beach. And so there was a place, there's a Guitar Center there in the South Bay. And I can't remember, but I can totally see the location. I know exactly how to get there if I'm there. But there was another company that's not as huge as L&L, but there's quite a few locations. But I think they do really nice quality chicken katsu curry. I don't know about the rest because I don't really eat anything. I'm like, oh, do I want beef, terry beef, or no? No. Power Plant says, really lower your bar for L&L. They're pretty good. They are pretty good. Pecoy Street. Thank you, Keone. Gosh, that's right, because it's right. Yeah, it was. Pecoy Street is where we used to have Radio Free Hawaii, right? And what was the name of the comic book record store that was right across there? No, I can't remember. That was the first place that I saw not the Predator, but the alien like face hugger. They had one for sale at that store, and I remember I picked it off the wall and I turned it over. If you've ever seen the underside of a face hugger, you'll know what I'm talking about. Power Plant says it's like those Dickey barbecue places that are franchised everywhere. Did I go to a Dickey's? I went to some franchise barbecue joint that in Texas, of all places, last time I was there. Seattle has some of the better chicken teriyaki in the USA. Yeah, they have those teriyaki joints. I honestly, after being in Hawaii, and I like the style of the plate lunch. I just didn't like when I was learning how to do coffee and spent a lot of time in Seattle like 20 years ago. I didn't really. I went to a few of the teriyaki joints. I didn't really understand them. I don't know what the difference is necessarily, but I was like, My favorite place was Masu's. Oh man, now you're talking my language. So you guys really talk about these plate lunches. These plate lunches used to be, like I said, 2 scoops of rice, macaroni salad, and then some kind of thing. Now there used to be a place in Keomoku called Masu's Massive Plate Lunch because it was massive. So you have 2 scoops of rice, macaroni salad, and a protein, which is a lot. That's a lot. There was a point that I realized I could only really eat the mini plate, which is a scoop of rice, scoop of mac salad, and then some kind of meat. And I don't eat the big one anymore because it's just too much. But Masu's was on a whole nother. It was almost I guess, I don't even remember, 3 scoops of rice, maybe 2 scoops of macaroni salad, and then like let's see that the hamburger steak. And hamburger steak is basically a hamburger patty that you put like brown gravy on. They didn't give you like hamburger steak. They give you like hamburger loaf. Like this, the hamburger loaf was like this. You know, this patties are like that. This thing was like. I used to go there like back then, man. When you're like young, when you're like 18, 19, you can pound hard and plus I played a lot of paintball back then, so there was always weekly activity for me, like a lot of running and like. So we could pound that. We could pound it, but not anymore, man. Not anymore. Not after I moved back home to the mainland here in Maryland, man. It was just bad news. Bad news. Peanut butter crunch. Thank you very much. That's right. Coffee says, "What's the PB Reese's Puffs?" I think that came out later. Like that wasn't. I think I was in my 20s when that came out, so I didn't really participate in that cereal. Curie says, "My mother was actually a cook at Bayside Drive-In in Wynot." Oh wow! Invented the fried noodle, teriyaki beef, and I got to be honest, I never went there. And here's why, everyone. Like you might wonder, well, why are you going there? Well, now Wynot, where Keone is from, is far. If you're in Honolulu, it's far away. Plus, Wynot, like you don't go there. Like if you're just a regular, like, especially if you're like me, you're some Hawaii Asian kid living in Hawaii, like you're like, oh, you shouldn't go to Wynot because those ballas were going to take care of you. I was like, what? Wynot back in those days were pretty rough. Like I don't know if it's rough, but it's very local. It's very like. Everybody lives there because there's only one way in and there's only one way out, right? So you go there for a reason, right? And if you go there and you act up, they're not afraid to share their displeasure with you. So the tough guys were all there. Oh. You gotta go. You have to go to Wynot with respect, and you just have that. So we just kind of. Plus, it's far. It's like when you're in town, you're like, oh, that. Why not? It's kind of far. Now, the truth is that I will drive here in Maryland farther than I would have driven to Wynot on a regular basis without thinking twice. But when you're on an island and you have to go to the other side of the island, and there's really nowhere else to go beyond that because you're on the other side of the island, you're about as far as you can get away. Like, it's far. You're like, well, that's far. That's far. Coffee Cove says, yes, there are about 4 kinds. Okay. Jellies. Thank you. That's right. Oh, that's amazing. Coffee Cove says, try Google. Some never heard of. Oh. And then Russell says, I go to Gardena Bowl or TNT Aloha Cafe. I've not been to TNT, but you are like, you should never repeat Gardena Bowl to me again because, man, I tell you what, I think Gardena Bowl. So you guys may know, there's a bowling alley in Gardena, California, not too far from Artesia. And one of my old paintball mentors, Aaron Carter, who's actually from Wynot originally, he introduced me to this place way back in the 90s. And I tell you, I think the coffee shop at the Gardena bowling alley has the very best Portuguese sausage anywhere, better than any place in Hawaii that I've ever had. I was like, this. I will drive. I've tried to make a point every time I'm in LA to go to Gardena Bowl because you go there. The last time we went, I got the loco moco, right? The poco moco, I guess you call it, like Portuguese sausage patty with the gravy and the fried rice. Maybe we even put like kimchi in it with the eggs and the gravy. Oh my God, man. I was so ill. I think I have a video of it with my friend Jerry. Like we were just so ill. I was like, oh, this is ill. But yeah, if you ever go to California, Southern California, LA, Gardena Bowl, well worth the effort. Well worth the effort. All right, I better continue. We gotta continue because otherwise we'll just be talking about food. So we've got our cereal, and then we'll continue again. So we got our cereal. Let's add some water. And so this is a really great cereal. Actually, I haven't eaten it in years, so I don't know if I'm gonna still think it's great. But we're gonna do some playing around with it. So we've got this. We're gonna put extra milk. gonna put a lot of extra milk. Okay, so here it is. So the nice thing about American cereals, they start off nice and crunchy, and you see it never looks as nice though as in the pictures, right? So it starts off nice and crunchy. Very crunchy. When in modern times, it's cloyingly sweet. And I always dribble. That's just pretty darn good. Gotta make it like a Mark Wiens video. Now, one of the things when I was young, I always ate this fast, because I like it when it's crunchy. And I wanted to get it as much crunch as possible before it all started to become soft. You want to make sure they get all nice and. But TNT onocoffee, I'm not sure. I've not heard of that one. I'll have to check that out. Jody says, Cam and Aya Bowl had the best oxtail soup. I had to be honest with you. I am not well versed in oxtail soup. I have to admit that I am embarrassed by that. I've only had like the oxtail soup at Aya Bowl once, many years ago. Honestly, Aya was always kind of far. Terrible. No excuses. Pipeline says, when I lived in Sacramento, there was a small Viet-owned cafe that our family befriended. They would make us oxtail pho sometimes. Amazing. Oh, man, that sounds delicious. And Pipeline says that Mark Wiens is in South Korea again, specifically in Jeju, the southernmost island. Oh. I haven't seen his videos in a while because, I think I'm a subscriber to his channel, but when you subscribe to the channel, I find that they don't really show you a lot of their views. And I know some people are like, oh, you just need to go to your subscriber tab. I'm like, I know, but I'd rather just come across my feed. Now, when we started this, I said it was kind of cloyingly sweet. But as I'm going, I feel like maybe my palate is becoming more numb, or maybe just more used. To the sweetness, or maybe there's more of a boost when I have the marshmallow. Like this marshmallow here. Something else I don't remember from being young, and maybe it's different, but as I'm chewing, I feel like the puffs are getting a little bit stuck in the molars in the back here. Now, I don't remember that being a condition when I was young, but also my teeth were younger back then. And I would imagine they were more cavity prone back then, but maybe not. Naomi says, as a child, I love Cocoa Pebbles. Oh, Cocoa Pebbles, I forgot. Yeah, that is a great one. When I was done with the cereal, I could then drink the chocolate milk. And that's what we're kind of working towards here, is getting to this blueberry milk underneath. Power Plant says, I saw you were cribbing my powdered chocolate milk and espresso idea for a future video. Well, you did say you wanted to give some suggestions, right? Uh-huh. Power Plant says, I love that malty milk. Malt is underappreciated. I do agree with you on that. I do agree with you. Malty milk is underappreciated. And, but I think that when I was younger, though, I didn't appreciate it, though. I enjoyed Whoppers, but a malted milkshake was weird to me. Then many years later, like in the early 2000s, when my brother took me to that place called Scoops in LA, and they had the malted ice cream with the grape nuts. Oh, that's really, I think, when my thoughts on malted started to change. In Singapore, Malaysia, says Power Plant, they love a drink called Milo, which is a malted chocolate milk drink. Ah, yes. Milo is very, very popular. Again, when I was a child, I didn't like it. Like we would have that here. Again, my parents would sometimes get it, or my cousins would have it. But actually, I don't know if I just don't know if I like the flavor. And I know I didn't like the way that it wouldn't like incorporate. Like just give me quick chocolate milk. Just give me Nestle Quick. It dissipates in the milk fairly well, but the Milo never dissipated as well. I never understood. I was too young to even think about why, and I didn't care because I was like, I just want chocolate milk. Give me chocolate milk. All right, so here's look at a little more creatures, ghosts. Now, those of you who grew up here in America, eating cereals like this, already know. Yeah, as these are getting softer, they're sticking more to my teeth. All right, now. Okay, now we've got our chocolate, our milk. See, it's all in my teeth now. Theoretically, this should be blueberry flavored milk. And like Naomi said, I think the flavor could be better. We would drink it. But about 20 years ago, I thought, you know what? Why don't we use this as a flavored milk for coffee drinks? So I started making a drink called the Fruity Pebbles Cappuccino. And, I wouldn't say that it's any kind of like novel idea that we were doing. It's just something that we grew up with. I mean, there's flavors in the milk. Why not use the milk? It's artificial. It's commercial. It's industrial. It's probably the worst way to flavor your milk, but it's fun. And that's really kind of the point. So let's make blueberry cappuccino with our blueberries. Blueberry cappuccino, not blueberry cappuccino. I made blueberry cappuccino with the milk, and I think it'll be fun. And this is something you could do not just with the blueberry. You could do with any cereal that you want, anything that you have. Grape nuts, if you want to do it that way. You can do that. Shredded wheat, I'm sure will work as well. It'll give you that flavor of the shredded wheat. So if you have some cereal, give it a try. I don't know if you'd want to buy it necessarily, but we used to buy it. Like we would buy like boxes and boxes of Fruity Pebbles just to make the milk for it. I mean, the sad thing is when you're doing it commercially, you're just using the cereal as a flavoring agent to the milk. So we'd make these big gallons at a time of this Fruity Pebbles milk, and then we would toss the mash. We probably should have used it to make like pie crust or something, but we didn't. We just tossed it. Andrew says, what coffee pairs with your bowl sugar? We're going to be using just our espresso, right? The espresso, I think, for cappuccino, right? For cappuccino. And now, if you want to get jiggy with it, I think that you could certainly explore the different single origin coffees that are out there and find one that may have complementary or contrasting flavors. I tend to think that the espresso blend tends to be relatively contrasting to the sweetness of the milk, which is what I like about it. But I think you could certainly find some nice complementary flavors that could be even more interesting. That's actually something I haven't really done. Kenny says, I guess I'm showing my age. When I was a child, the only cereals that I remember was Corn Flakes, Frosted Flakes, shredded wheat, and Cheerios. Yeah, that's another point. Like Blueberry, the Monster cereals from General Mills was not. This was the third one that was introduced. Like I said, there's Count Chocula, Frankenberry, and then they released this. Those two were released. The Monster series started in 1971. This came out in 1972, and I think Fruit Brute came out in just a couple years, within a couple more years. So yeah, like if these were definitely, I think, the flavored cereals. This, and even like I still have this box of Fruity Pebbles here. Like these are all, I think all of these came about in the 70s, right? Like, and that makes sense because, like, what is it? I believe that the Flintstones was a 1960s or maybe late 50s, early, through the 60s era cartoon. So it probably wouldn't have been popular at all until the 70s. So yeah, if you were of a different, if you didn't grow up, if you weren't a child in the 70s, you probably didn't eat these things, which is probably a better thing. But I still think they're good. And they have nice flavored milk. But Corn Flakes would work. Like Frosted Flakes would be nice for cappuccino. All right, so let's go here to the machine. Here we are. Cappuccino machine. Oh. Gotta rinse that out. And as always, rinse it out just a little bit, and then we let it sit in the books, just to make sure that we give it the opportunity to drain. See, there's a dirt here. Flush that good. More nice and clean here, right? And then we're going to grind up some of our coffee. All right, this time it fell. There's not as much clumping, right? There's little two boulders, but it's relatively evenly distributed across the portafilter, right? So I'm just going to push it around a little bit. I think that's a good amount of coffee, so I'm not going to try to get rid of any of it. Just leave it that way. And now I'm going to go over here for the tamping. Drop that on. Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good. After a while, you develop a feel for how much coffee is right. And that's usually where I see, like, how much coffee did I get, as much or as little as I'd like. So there, and now we're going to put our spout back on. Oh, we did not prepare our milk. So let's prepare our milk. We'll put that down. We'll need our pitcher. So let's come back over here. Now, how difficult will this be? Let's see. Oh, see, like I said, difficult. It's always difficult. But there is a nice tint of blue to our milk. So we do have flavoring in the milk. The milk is now flavored, which is good. Need some more towels. Okay, now we've got our milk here. So as you can see, we've got the milk here. So this is a 12-ounce pitcher. So this is typically, if I'm making a cappuccino, I'm going to use a 12-ounce pitcher. And I keep the milk right about here. Now, there's different manufacturers of pitchers, and the different manufacturers will have different heights of their spout. So you're going to have to, like, use whatever, figure this out based on your use. But we would, at Spro, we would always buy the same pitchers. So they would be uniform across many different pitchers, and even across years of working there, right? Because we always had the same pictures, so they were always stamped in the same way. But in this particular one, and for most, and generally speaking, like wherever they normally end the spout, like you can see here, it's slightly sloped, and then it slopes even more. So typically right about here is where I fill the milk to in a pitcher. And this is also true in the 20 ounce. So if I'm making a latte, a 12-ounce latte, I'll also fill it right below the spout. And that usually gives us enough headroom for stretching and for the swirling to happen, really, because we really want the swirl. The swirling is actually more like an oval like this. It actually swirls like this inside your pitcher. Because sometimes I think people think, oh, we're swirling it. It's more like this. It's actually more like this. And you want it to be more like this because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get, as you're stretching your milk and pull, so you're basically, the wand is here and you're pulling it down, right? And as you're pulling it down, you're running the nozzle of your steam wand right on the edge, right below the surface of your milk. And what that's doing is that it's injecting steam, it's pushing steam out, which is pulling the milk this way, right? And creating kind of like this cavity, like when it comes, so imagine that the wand is here. So as it's creating its cavity, that steam is mixing with the air and creating and frothing the milk, creating that foam, right? That's where you hear the, it's happening because this is going on. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to make your wand to be in a position where it's driving that down into your pitcher. So it's trying to drive it down into the pitcher and rotate it back up, right? And then reincorporate it. And then as you're creating more foam, that foam is now being pushed into the liquid, so it keeps it hydrated, comes back around, gets pushed back again. And all this time, that steam, if you're riding the edge, is increasing the volume of foam that's being created. The amount that you expose that tip to the air and ride it on the surface will also determine the size of the bubbles. So if you pull on it hard, and you could try this at home, and maybe just try with some water if you're on your espresso machine. But if you pull it hard down, you can see that it will sputter and splatter out of the pitcher. That's because you're pulling too fast. You got to ride it right on the edge, and just listen. Right? It's got that, and you want it to roll. You want it to incorporate this way, and we also try to get it to go this way. So it's kind of like this bigger oval like that, right? If you can imagine, that's kind of what you want. And that's why when I'm working with it, I tend to think of the pitcher, like if this is the way I hold the pitcher, right? When I'm steaming milk, I tend to think of the pitcher as quadrants, right? So upper left, upper right, lower left, lower right. I try to get the steam wand down here in the lower left quadrant. And that way I'm getting this motion, and the whole thing is swirling and rotating. So that's kind of like what I think about when I'm steaming milk. And well, typically here we'll do this all separately. I actually will do it when we're actually working in a bar, we'll do it all at once, right? So you're pulling the shot and steaming at the same time, rather than pulling a shot and steaming the milk after that fact. So, but we just break it down here because we're not necessarily under that kind of time pressure. But another reason that I like to do it that way, typically, like if I'm here making a drink for myself, like I made it the other day, I'll do them at the same time, mainly because I don't want to have. I'm always trying to prevent as much loss of the crema as possible. I like to preserve the crema as much as I can. So that's like the big thing. Yomi says, "Ooh, Count Chocula, I forgot about that one." That's a good one too. We should try that too. All right, let's go here. And that's the camera we need today. So we're going to take our cappuccino cup. And still get that. I gotta clean that. You can see back in the back there's a little bit of leak going on. But the shot looks pretty good. Except for that leak. Oh, Lord. Nope, that's good. You see them? Did you notice how it kind of did that like flop there? That's telling it that it's done. That's telling us that it's done. And now leave that here. Got to position your wand. Oh, let's move the portafilter out of the way. Start with it fully submerged and then come down. Now just listen. A lot of it can be told by how it sounds. All right, now it's getting warm, so now I'm going to go all the way down with it and bring it the temperature. Ooh, that's good. So that's maybe, okay, I think the bubbles here, you can tell, but I think the bubbles maybe just a little bit on the larger side, right? Like see how it's kind of like stiff and dry looking, and the way that it shakes, see the shake? It's not so nice. Like that's not nice. I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all. I would want to incorporate that more. So you can try to incorporate that by swirling, which is not doing a good job. See, it's not, see how there's also big bubbles? You can see bubbles. You should never be able to see this kind of bubbles. You can tap and swirl to try to get rid of some of that bubbles. And the more bubbles there are, the bigger the bubbles, the more it makes it stiffer and the less it wants to incorporate with each other. The more you can break those bubbles, as you can see, as I'm tapping it and swirling it, it's getting more glossy as we go. Now, there's still a lot of bubbles, so it's not very good. So I can smell some of that blueberry from my position here. So that's kind of nice. And, you know, we're going to spend a little bit of time doing this. And the nice thing is that you're seeing here, we're starting at some thinness on the crema, right? It looks, at least on camera, it looks thin there. In person, it doesn't look that thin. But luckily, we're not having breaking yet, although it looks like it may start to break right about there where my finger was. All right, we're going to try to pour. This is going to be very thick and probably not so pretty. I'm tempted to pour some of it out, but let's just go for it. Yeah, definitely not as nice as we would like it to be. All right, that could have been better. See how there's a lot of bubbles? Yeah, we don't like that. We don't like that. But there it is. Blueberry cappuccino. Let's see how it tastes. I think the concentration of cereal to milk needs to be higher. So here's an interesting thing that I've just noticed. I should have pointed out to you before we started. Remember I said how the milk was very, very stiff? The milk may be very stiff, but the milk is stiff, but it's not enough, right? You could, I don't know if you noticed it as I was drinking it, but I could see it in the corner of my eye, but there's a thinness. See this? See how thin this foam is here? That's too little. For a cappuccino, we want it to be thicker. We want the milk foam to be very fine, but we also want it to be thicker. Like there should not be a point where you can take your spoon. So let's say if I took this to the other side, right? I should not be able to see the, if I take this spoon with this side here, we're presuming this is a stand-in for a demi-tasse spoon. If I was to take this, turn it around, and push forward like this, we should not be able to see any of the milky liquid underneath. We're going to see it now. See that? Too little. This is one of the easiest ways for you to tell if you've made a cappuccino for yourself correctly or not, is to see, did I get enough foam in there? Now, it did fill up with the foam, but that foam was so dry because, you know, I did it poorly that it didn't go well. So, and that also kind of like makes the flavor different, right? Like you would get more milk, more coffee to milk ratio by having the right amount of foam here. Because cappuccinos, and I like the old school way of thinking as of cappuccinos being a rule of thirds. So third. So third coffee, third milk, third foam. This would be more like a flat white type of drink more than. And I would like the blueberry to be more pronounced, right? Like it's not. I would want to increase. Like if I was to make this like presentable on a menu, then I would increase the amount of cereal that we're using to infuse the milk, so we get a deeper flavor. Now you could just augment it with blueberry syrup, or something like a blueberry schnapps would be a nice way to go. Will this open? Oh, okay. Let's give it a little taste. Let's give it a little taste. We're gonna take our little tablespoon here, but just a little bit, Oh man, oh that is. Let's see. Does it look any different? It doesn't look any different. Still looks terrible. That's the thing about blueberry liqueur. It doesn't get it sweeter, but it doesn't taste sweeter. There's definitely a little bit more of a robust blueberryness to it. But I think what I want was to be sweeter. Coffee Cove says, I'll be doing espresso soon. The meticulous machine came yesterday afternoon. Ha ha. Excellent. Congratulations. The directions are generic and leaves you trying to figure out things on your own. Oh, well, you know. Our plant wants to know, did you get the milk steamer with it? And it was heavy and barely got out of the... Oh, wow, it's heavy. I didn't think it would be that heavy. Okay, interesting. Naomi says, you have to tell us all about it. I've always been interested. Yeah, I definitely want to know how it turns out for you. I mean, I've seen it at the shows, and I've used it just a bare minimal at the shows, and it seems cool. Like what I really am interested in is how you add the water to it, so you can change waters per shot. And I really think there could be some interesting possibilities with that machine. Coffee Co says, yes, I got the steamer, but they don't have it ready yet. Also did not get the accessories. Oh, really? All this time they didn't get the accessories ready? And if I remember correctly, like they have that portafilter that is color matched to the machine. That's not what comes with the machine. Am I remember that correctly? That's a third-party producer. I thought that was disappointing. Like I was like, oh man, you know, I thought the white looked sexy with the white portafilter. I was like, well, that looks sexy, and all the white accessories. I was like, I hate to have to clean it, but man. Naomi says, I'm not a huge fan of foam, so I never order a cap. Understandable. Coffee says, it may take a few days to learn the machine. I also don't have Wi-Fi needed to get the updates. You don't have Wi-Fi? You know, it's 2025. But you know, I think you can use your phone, right? Do you know your phone? Like that's what I do all the time. Like I go to my phone and I turn on the personal hotspot. It's like portable Wi-Fi. It's great. Like when I do my Thursday night live stream, I'm using the phone to like broadcast it. Works pretty well. Coffee Cove says, to you guys, it may not be heavy, but for me it was. I hear you. And it came with brown wood handle. You know, if that's the kind of thing you think, like makes you think of like Steve Jobs and Joni Ive would not allow that to happen. But I'm glad you got it. And I'm looking forward to hearing how it turns out for you. All right. Well, that's pretty much all that I have for you today for our blueberry cappuccino. Blueberry cappuccino. So try it. Maybe give it a try. And you can do lattes. You can do anything you want with it. Ooh, I probably should not have put that shot of liqueur. I feel it. Actually, you know, here's an interesting thing. So those of you who saw yesterday's live stream, the second live stream from yesterday, where I was drinking the Vanilla Silk barium drink, which barium will kill you. I go to the radiology lab, and they're like, "Oh, you know, your doctor changed it. It looks like there was a mistake. You're not supposed to have a CT scan with barium. You're supposed to have a CTA scan." And I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" They're like, "We're gonna have to reschedule." You got to reschedule? I just took the barium. I just put my life on the line. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we're sorry." What? But you know, they say that there's a lot of like potential like side effects, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. Depends. You might get. I didn't have anything. Like I did have to go to the bathroom once, but it wasn't like I was like, it wasn't like one of those, oh my God. But you know, I don't know, it could have been just like the regular daily movement, but I was like, But I didn't feel bad. Like it didn't affect me. Like it's strange. Like I have found that a lot of things don't necessarily affect me in the way they do. Like for example, like the Manjaro. Like my friend takes Manjaro, and every time he takes it, he's like hurting. He's like hurting. I'm like, oh really? He's like, yeah, man, it's terrible. Is it really? So luckily, now I get to do it again, but no barium this time. So that's all right. And hopefully now, because like they were like, oh, you know, you have to pay. What? Pay? Yeah, the insurance doesn't cover it. Now that they changed it, they're like, okay, the insurance, we're going to refile with the insurance, and that's why we're going to reschedule because they may cover it. I was like, okay, good. I don't want to pay that money. Coffee Cove says, that's what I thought, but I have to connect their app and machine to a Wi-Fi connection. Huh. That's weak. I wonder if you could use somebody else's Wi-Fi connection. Like if you have somebody else's phone that has a hotspot, I wonder if that would mimic it. PowerPlan says, all different types of cooking from honey aunties to Michelin quality cooks. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, trying to be a business. Oh, gotcha. I felt like I had the flu after having to drink barium. Oh, yeah. You're not the only one that said that. Like I know a number of people that have told me in person or like on comments. They were like, oh yeah, it made me feel like the one woman that I know who owns Pillion Tea. She was like, oh yeah, it was terrible. I was like, really? Good Lord. But I don't know. I've been lucky. In that respect. Strong like bull. All right. Anyway, good to see all of you. I will show you one more thing before we run away. Since we were talking about this shirt and Blueberry and the club life, I will share with you just a little bit of those days. So here's like I mentioned to you, my friend Chad, who did the drawings. This is Chad and Tony, my friend Tony. Sadly, Chad passed away during the pandemic. Tony's still around. She's doing well. And then that's our friend Joe Jackson. She's an artist now in the West Coast. Really amazing artist. That's Beth. And there's Tony and Beth and Dina. Dina's on the left here. This is us from like 1988. I said, oh, that's this. Oh, that's not. Here, this is me back then. Wearing Comme des Garçons. Comme des Garçons is a designer from Japan, Rei Kawakubo, one of my favorite designers. So this is our club times. What else do we have here? Oh yeah, so here we are in 2015. This is Chad and Tony. And I told you we had that reunion at that club. There's Tony, and I'm not sure who that is. There I am. See, as you can see, I'm a little bit huskier in this shirt. This is the same shirt. And that's my friend John. John is an expert now in all kinds of, what do they call that? Making yourself look beautiful through surgery or through medicine. So everybody's older. There's Jackie. Jackie's out in Portland. Yeah, see, there I am with the shirt again. With the shirt. My gosh, everybody's old now. So here's our old crew. This is our old crew right here. So, oh my gosh, so crazy. Oh, John is he's a furniture guy out in Denver nowadays. My goodness. So yeah, there it is. There it is. Just some old times, fun times. Oh, they have all kinds of cooks in it from all. Gotcha. All right, so that's going to be it for today. Thanks for hanging out with me. It's good to see you as always. Back again tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be doing something with tamales and cafe de olla. So hopefully that'll be something kind of fun. Trying to get some fun things to do before we get to the Christmas time. Since next week is Christmas. Thursday is Christmas. Can you believe that? A week. And I just started buying gifts for my nieces last night. I was like, oh God, I'm in trouble. Yeah, I went to Bershka. My niece wants Bershka stuff. So I was like, what? Bershka? What is that? Oh, Bershka. So she has this like list. So I'm clicking on these listings in her size. Color sold out. Sizes are sold out. The whole item is sold out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble now. Now I'm in trouble. So, all right. Gotta head out. Hope you guys have a great one and see you next time.